Sony has halted PSVR 2 production units until its current backlog is sold, according to this article over on TechRadar.com. They got the details. Could the price drop be on the way? Possibly, possibly. The PlayStation VR, which is Sony's entry into the virtual reality space, which competes with the likes of Meta and Valve with the Valve Index, and somewhat with the Apple with the Vision Pro, kind of, but I don't think the Vision Pro is more of a gaming headset than these are. Sony has reported halted production on the new PSVR 2 units until the current backlog has sold. This news comes as according to a new Bloomberg report, which suggests that the PSVR 2 sales have declined each quarter since its launch in February of last year. So this thing is not that old. It just came out last year. Especially notable are the Q4 2023 numbers. They sold 325 units compared to Meta's 1.3 million sales. So that's a pretty big departure from their competitor. We don't know how many Valve has sold in terms of the index, but if it's more than 325,000, Sony probably is not happy about that. Yijia Zai, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, has come out to say from Bloomberg that the high price of VR hardware acts as the main hurdle for its expansion. Currently, there are limited games that support VR devices, and that will also lead to a lack of motivation for players to purchase VR hardware, right? Makes sense. The limited content also has a reason. The development cost for VR games is substantially higher than normal titles. So as we're looking at the gaming industry cut back on everything they can, just like 80% layoffs, 50% layoffs, 40% layoffs, 20% layoffs, it's kind of hard to imagine a world where VR development is going to increase for a lot of companies. And as we're seeing, players are buying less headsets because there's less content. And you got this basically this snowball effect of bad economy. Nobody's producing, nobody is buying. So VR will start to stagnate on the PlayStation platform unless something changes. So we're going to be watching that one very closely. As this article says, PlayStation just laid off roughly 8% of its staff, not to mention all the other game developer companies out there that have been laying off left and right. Additionally, plans have been announced to bring PC support to the PSVR 2, though we've yet to see this come to fruition. Ideally, this is probably going to be coincided with a price drop for the headset, which they've been stubborn to do since launch. And the idea of a PC support window means that this could be the end of that particular headset cycle, or towards the end of that cycle. That's Sony's plan for a lot of things, is that as a game or item reaches its end of cycle, then they'll bring it to PC after the fact. For a lot of games, they'll do it at a minimum like a year later to bring it over to PC. So they may be doing this for the PSVR 2 later, according to this article, in order to refocus its efforts on the PS5 or the PS5 Pro, which we have another video where we talked about the potential PS5 Pro that could be coming out. And of course, the next iteration of the PlayStation, which is the PlayStation 6, which may have a whole different thing to do with VR, which Sony's probably going to be looking at all this stuff very, very closely as they're tightening the belt and cutting back on all kinds of things, which could be VR related. So check this story out over on TechRadar.com. They got the details about Sony cutting back on production because their backlog is not selling, and the game industry really is not leading itself to increase those sales. So Sony's got to make some adjustments as to what they're going to do.